Hi everyone, Alexandra Joe at Jupiter Returns here with your weekly astrology forecast for the very first week of our exciting new year, the 22nd to the 28th of March 2021. Happy New Year. We have, of course, this weekend passed the vernal equinox, spring equinox, and have begun a whole new solar cycle, a whole new solar new year. And I think we can really feel that stimulation. So Happy New Year to you all. We had a really deep look into the chart of the equinox at the Fortnightly Astrology Group on Friday. And when I cast the chart, we see quite a marked difference to the equinox chart, the vernal equinox chart of last year. Which you'll be pleased to hear. Last year's chart had a Capricorn ascendant. It was a night chart. There was some quite marked differences. The year we're now moving into has this birth chart, and we have a Gemini rising. This makes Mercury the ruler of this year, and Mercury is all about change. It's about the youth. Okay, it's a younger energy, where last year the year was ruled by Saturn as ruler of Capricorn, very much about the older ways, tradition. This year it's quite markedly different, way more about youthfulness and change, and also choices and options. And that's a really big part of the energy that we're going to have this week. It's a really big week astrologically this week. Quite a pivotal moment in time. So you're going to have to bear with me for a little while today, I'm afraid, if that's okay. Hopefully you won't get too bored and restless, even though we're now in Aries season. And I will try my very, very best. I failed last week, but I will try my very best to revisit this after it's published and put in place the timestamps just to break it down for you a little bit easier. But if you can, please do try and watch it all as one piece, because it's very much designed to be ingested that way, if you can do that first. So a Gemini rising chart for the year then gives us this idea of options, of choices, of, it's the twin. Mercury rules the twin signs of Gemini. And of course, this is where our North Node is. And so it's these two pillars, these two possibilities that we have that we can explore. And as I posted on my Facebook page earlier today, if there was a song that had been written that could better encapsulate the energy, certainly of this week, but of the chart of this new solar year that we're moving into, it absolutely would be Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. And I'm going to try and introduce the themes of that into this week's astrology forecast. So a couple of the lyrics, so there's lots and lots of references to air, wind, thoughts, songbirds singing, smoke rings, lots and lots and lots of references to air. And of course, air is this Gemini energy. It's one of the air signs. And of course, we've got Saturn and Jupiter doing their thing over there in the air sign of Aquarius. This really started a whole new, huge era of air signs being dominant. And air speaks to thinking. It speaks to using our brains a little bit more, and inventing new ideas and new thinking and different ways of communicating. And communication just in itself being that bit more important and relevant in our lives. So lots and lots of references in the song to air, and you'll pick those out if you listen to it, which I strongly recommend you do. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, because sometimes words have two meanings, and there couldn't be a week where we're going to most likely encounter that more than this week. We're going to have a bit of a challenging theme present this week. We've already got that square between Saturn and Uranus that we're seeing. This is really, really, really erupting this weekend. Reason being, the protests turning violent, this kickback from the revolutionary, progressive, freedom wanting, equality loving Uranus against the restrictions and authorities and draconian measures to prevent protest, freedom of speech and freedom to protest. Huge, huge piece of news and relevance that ties in with this astrology. And I think that was flared up because we had the sun obviously moving into Aries, which is a cardinal sign. It's very fired up. It's ruled by Mars, doesn't want to stop and think. It wants to act now. It's a fire sign. And we did, of course, see, unfortunately, fire and aggression. You know, Mars in its lower octave, in its less desirable expression, is violence, aggression, anger, all of these things. And this has been simmering along for a while now. And I think the sun moving into Aries really triggered that. We've also subsequently had Venus moving into Aries, and of course the moon in Cancer. So this is a very sudden increase in this cardinal energy. The equinox itself taking place during the first quarter square aspect of the moon, which always in itself gives us a feeling of great, great tension. And that's captured, that applying square was captured in the natal chart of this year. So that's going to be an ongoing theme. You know, this pull for dominance over the emotional, sensitive, caring sides of ourselves and the rational, productive need to make things happen in the world. So yeah, that it was a little sad to see, but not, sadly, not too surprising. But with Mercury in left behind in Pisces now, when we have a Gemini rising chart, as we do this year, Mercury is the chart ruler. So Mercury being in Pisces, that means the chart ruler of this year is in its sign of fall. It doesn't particularly do so well in Pisces. We like Mercury to give us clarity and precision. And Pisces doesn't really do precision. That's up to Virgo, all right? The other sign that Mercury rules. That's the one that loves the, you know, let's get everything in order and get everything precise. Pisces is like, well, it'll be okay. Let's just see what happens. And so Mercury doesn't give us what we would like. And this week we're going to experience Mercury in a difficult connection, a square aspect again, to Mars in Gemini, Mercury's own sign, Gemini. So this is going to speak to, you know, the double meaning of words, this lack of clarity, and how that might, in fact, in some instances, be received in a very challenging, very difficult way. And I'm sad to say, in some instances, that might be an intentional way to do some damage, to do harm, or at least prioritize the self agenda or the ego of the individual that's communicating in that way. So that's going to be a theme, and those lyrics certainly speak to that to me. Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. That's kind of the lyric that really, really encapsulates this choice point we have. The two paths that we can go by, Mars in Gemini, meeting the North Node of Destiny this week. It's a big moment in time. And whilst our decisions, our ideas might not be 100% clear and precise as we'd like them to be, the dream, the intention, you know, this is Pisces, the higher expression of our mind, that really can be what fuels the decision that we make. And that's what I would recommend that we try and tap into. With Venus now in Aries, again, that's another placement where, you know, Venus, she's not super happy in Aries because she rules Libra. balance. She wants balance. She wants harmony. And in Aries, Aries is Mars ruled. So it's more a case of, I want. There's a little bit more, I want my desires met. And I'm going to be more likely to act on behalf of that. See if there's some different ways that you can channel Venus energy at this time. This is about newness. It's about starting something new. So if you know where Aries is in your chart, use the Venus creativity to bring greater love and beauty and harmony into that area of your life if you can. If you don't know where Aries is in your chart, simply use it as an opportunity to try something new. So today for Aries, I have never worn orange eye makeup before, but that's a way that I'm using Venus in Aries. I'm trying a new beauty thing. I'm trying this new method of associating the song lyrics to the astrology. I'm in a different position. We're trying a different position. That sounds wrong. That again, that's that kind of faux pas is going to be rife this week, I'm telling you, with Mars in square to Mercury, and this double nature, the double entendre, could just be a way more funny expression of this energy. I hope there's much more of that than violence. Sorry about that. I'll just crack myself up, shall I? So anyway, without further ado then, let's go back. There's this constant theme, and it makes me wonder. So Mercury and Pisces, just allow yourself to wonder, what could the future look like, even if we don't have precision and clarity just yet. Align yourself. You can still make a choice. We are always making a choice. Even if our choice is to not make a choice, it's a choice. It's literally impossible to not make a choice, because if you don't do something, you're choosing to not do something. All right. So we do have a choice this week, and you will make a choice. But my suggestion is that you align with the higher expressions of humanity, Pisces, compassion, love, uniting everyone and everyone coming together for equal benefit to all, no one being higher or lower than the other, no hierarchy. So let's plow into the astrology of the week then. So Monday, the 22nd, we've got now Venus in Aries. She's on her way. She's been very, very closely linked to the sun lately. She's going through a part of her cycle, which is quite important, where she's missing from our sky at the moment. And this is because she's kind of dipping behind the sun. And so we can't see the Venus light because it's being kind of distorted by the rays of the sun and the position of the sun. It's an important part of her cycle as she's transitioning from a morning star to an evening star. And she will reappear in our skies in Taurus, her home sign, as the evening star in May. That's going to be beautiful, and I will definitely be, reminding you when that's going to happen. But for now, she's going through this period of the old, youthful, immature kind of morning star version of Venus, which is a little bit more in alignment with, our value systems when we're young, and, we like to be the prettiest, and we just want to have fun, and we want to relate, and we want to hang out, and we're really interested in getting attention and, that kind of thing. That's kind of like burning off, and it's saying, okay, it's time to just have a little bit more of a mature approach to our value nature and our connection to the feminine. And I think this is something I'm going to go into very much in the next fortnightly astrology group. We're going to be doing a deep dive with Venus. So I won't go into too much now, but it's a very, very special part of her transit. And she's going to give us kind of the best part of that this week as well. So I'll tell you more about that as it happens. So we've got Venus in Aries now emboldening us a little. So, you know, it depends on our starting point with how confident we are, how much self-esteem we have. Venus in Aries can give that a boost. Like, this is Mars energy. It's more about confidence, right? So if you're not super confident about yourself, Venus can get a lift here, even though she doesn't really like being in Aries. And it can give us a real motivation and a real kind of increased passion towards creating beauty and bringing beauty into our world. It can literally fire it up. It can also fire up our desire nature and our need to connect as well. So of course we've got to remember that, you know, we've got to not be too rash, hasty, impulsive, all of those things. We need to just keep our feet on the ground and just, you know, think of the long game just a little bit there as well. But certainly you might feel a lovely kind of increase in Venus related issues, which we could all do with, I suspect. On the downside, if you're really, or if you come across people who are, you know, very, very confident, very self-assured, it could boil over. That's the trouble with fire energy. It can boil over and go a little bit too far. The values that people have could be a little bit sharp, a little bit pointy. You know, Aries is kind of sharp things and spears and knives. So it can be very aggressive and forceful way of saying, these are my values and that's all that should matter, actually. It can be in its lower kind of expressions. Aries can be very self-focused. It can be just concerned with I, me, my. So watch out for that too. The Cancer moon that we have now on Monday is trining Mercury overnight. Now, this is lovely energy to connect with. You know, if you do spend some time just considering the lyrics of this song, Stairway to Heaven, this would be a wonderful time to do it, because these trines between Cancer and Pisces really do, especially when the moon is there. I mean, that's her home sign. It can really allow us to gain some insight and some intuitive kind of connection and embrace of, you know, this wondrous world that we're exploring when Mercury is in Pisces, this Alice in Wonderland, just crazy place that can be incredibly beautiful, incredibly creative. And of course, the deeper she goes through Cancer, that trine will then switch to Neptune as well. Even more creativity. This is both of these planets in their home sign. Neptune in Pisces, Moon in Cancer. Absolute bliss. Total bliss energy. Love it. Absolutely love it. See if you can tap into that as you're going to sleep tonight on Monday evening, or just, you know, even just going to sleep with a certain thought in your mind with Mercury in Pisces of, I would love to have a really beautiful dream tonight. Just setting that intention, particularly as the moon is waxing from the Pisces new moon, that can really just help. You know, it can really help. So get involved with that one if you can. Moving then into Tuesday the 23rd. This is going to be, a little bit tense. So here we have Mars, that Mars squaring Mercury energy that I talked about in the introduction. So this could really show us, this is taking place at 11 degrees of Gemini and Pisces. So if you know where those are in your chart, have a look and see if they're on angles or if they're close to any other planets. That could cause a little bit of a challenge for you. It's not something I'm particularly looking forward to. It's essentially, you know, the Mars, in a difficult aspect, it's more likely to be a challenging communication, a challenging conversation in some way, potentially egoic or self-centered, or it could just be that it could be very, very easily confused, because Mercury in Pisces, yes, there are two paths we can go by, and these different ways that we can interpret words as things get a bit fuzzy. And that might prompt a very angry response, or a very rash or impulsive or heated response. So just bear that in mind and decide, let me just let today pass before I respond to that communication, because that could be something that you could really regret, I suspect. So just give it a wide berth, take a breath. You know, this is an air sign. Cool. Mars's need to respond with speed, you know, fast. Mars wants to do things now. Just say, okay, Mars, I hear you. I get that you're fired up, and you know, you may be very justified in being fired up, but let's, you know, let the influence and the energy calm down, and actually make a response to this rather than a reaction to this, because that's really the only way to deal with communication. You know, if everyone's just reactive, then the kind of the whole point of having a conversation is just pointless. It's just no one's going to listen to anyone else. It's going to lose any benefit that there might be there. So Tuesday, of course, being the day of Mars as well, I think the Mars energy is going to be particularly strong. Let's not forget that although it's separating now, this trine between Mars and Saturn that we were building into last week, that is still present. So let's see, yeah, Saturn's at 10 degrees of Aquarius. These guys are at 11, so it's only 1 degree off. It's separating, so it's 1 degree separating rather than applying, so it's got less emphasis there, but it is still there. And that Saturn is all about maturity, responsibility, thinking of the longer term, taking a more mature, calm view on things. So if you can use that connection that's still there, just to say, okay, what would Saturn do here? I can feel what Mars wants me to do, but what would Saturn do? And I would go Saturn's way on this one. This kind of, and we have, what's happening also then is the moon is moving into Leo, okay? A waxing moon in Leo, again, it's more fire energy, it's more heated energy, and it's a very expressive sign is Leo. It's a very kind of dramatic sign. It rules acting and performing. So our emotions may take on this kind of very, yeah, like a real performance, like drama, a drama queen kind of energy to them. So we've got that in the mix as well, just encouraging a bit of heated exchange. So watch out for that. This whole kind of scene does continue into Wednesday the 24th. And on Wednesday the 24th, we also have an applying square. I'm just going to move that trine. An applying square from Mercury to the nodes. Mars and the North Node are getting really close together at this point. This is going to be a big feature of this week. So the march forward to our destiny, the North Node, this is what this week is capturing, really is. Don't forget, although it's not always there, you know, in terms of what I'm showing, the nodes are always opposing each other. There's always that opposition present. So there's always the choice point. There's always this conflict between where am I going? What do I need to do that's different and new and takes me out of my comfort zone, against the backdrop of, oh, but I feel safe doing this because I know how to do this. I'm comfortable doing this. I'm practiced. I'm experienced. And that draw to, you know, staying where you are, staying in the past and not making progress forward. So that opposition is always, always present. So when one of the nodes is activated, it's activating the whole of the opposition as well. So this is also going to feed into this two paths kind of situation that we've got building throughout the week. So we're in an applying square between Mercury and the nodes at 12 degrees. Okay, so it's moved on. A lot of the planets are moving fast now. Everything's moving direct. It really does feel like we are hurtling into our future and into our destiny at this time. And yeah, it really speaks to this choice point when the nodes are involved. It's this, okay, how, you know, Mercury loves to ask all the how, where, why, all of those nitty gritty questions. And it's really saying, how are we going to act in the future? How are we going to act now that's going to get us there? You know, Mars is a car. It's literally a car. It's direction, it's motivation, it's mojo, it's juice, it's our passion, it's all of these things. And it's all about saying, you know, how are we going to do this? Where is it that we're going? Why are we going there? All of these questions with Gemini and Mercury and Mars involved is saying, you know, the time is now. The time to choose is now. Okay, so be really, really careful of the choice you make, even if that is that you're choosing to do nothing. You're making a choice. Okay, Mars doesn't always want us to do nothing. He wants us to do something. That's where the stimulation comes from. That's where the cardinal energy comes from. And particularly with the square aspect, it's provocative energy. It's saying, I want you to get off your butt and do something. I'm really full of Venus and Aries today, aren't I? So yeah, this is really what it's all about. Such a pivotal week. So Mars is going to assist in that decisive process, because it can be very cut and dried. It's just like, hey, do you know what? You know, we haven't got time to mess around, just make a decision, kind of thing. But you know, it's that's not necessarily a good thing in this scenario. So a well-considered, compassionate view. Remember, Mercury is in Pisces. Bring through the upper sides of Pisces rather than the lower sides. The illusion, delusion, lies, confusion, disillusionment, you know, having our beliefs and heartfelt kind of considerations just destroyed, poisoning, toxicity, victimization. These are all the downsides of Pisces. And with Mercury there, we need to try and intentionally channel through a higher side of Pisces if we're going to avoid it showing up and catching us unawares through these kind of deceptive energies that can arise. So using your mind to be creative and compassionate, and think of ways that, you know, we can move forward with greater unity and love for everybody. You know, the more energy you're giving to that, and exploring your subconscious as well, exploring your dreams, exploring the parts of yourself that you feel you maybe have put a boundary or a blockage up somehow. Just opening up the mind to, what if I could go into my subconscious right now? What would I find? What would I like to find? What could I do if I found something there that I don't like? And certainly massively paying attention to your dreams, getting those deciphered. I've got contacts if you need help with that, that can work with you with dream therapy. Yeah, okay, so that was Wednesday. Moving now into Thursday. Thursday, we are looking at the 25th, Thursday the 25th of March. We're going to have another opposition on this day. I'm going to take that opposition from the nodes away, because it's just always present. When the moon progresses through the fire sign of Leo, as we move from one day to the next, we're going to develop another opposition. And these oppositions really always reflect, these swings from one side to the other, from one to the other. And so it's continuing this theme of these two options, these two choices, these two polarities. With the moon and Jupiter here, I mean, Jupiter's in air sign Aquarius and the moon is in fire sign Leo. So this is blowing oxygen into the fire. So if a fire has started here the previous day, things have got a bit dramatic and a bit heated, this really could continue it on, unfortunately, because that air is really kind of building up the flames somewhat. So we could see here choices, and again, it's an opposition, so it's likely to play out in terms of interactions with other people, discussions with other people, or coming up against different views, different perspectives. With Jupiter, this really relates to the future. It relates to our politics, our laws, our ethics and belief systems, certain ideologies around religion and other philosophies, these kinds of things. Moon can often just be the public. So this could be a time of, a public opposition to a piece of politics, an inflammatory piece of politics. So I don't know what's kind of on the agenda for this week, but certainly this bill that's going through Parliament at the moment is a hot topic. And I'm sure there's many more. This protest, this not allowing the public to protest. Any kind of flipping backwards and forwards between what's the right way forward, what's the best thing. Jupiter wants the best. It has to make a judgment. All right. So often judgment and being judgmental is used in its pejorative kind of sense of, being judgmental is a bad thing. It's bloody not. I'm here to tell you right now, if you don't have a really good sense of judgment, you're going to struggle in life. I mean, I'm not talking about being an asshole and being a bigot. That's entirely different. But, we need a really good sense of judgment. And that comes from all sorts of inner work, doing our work, having integrity, aligning ourselves with higher values, and walking our talk very much, not just kind of holding the placard, or wearing the t-shirt, I don't know, let's say climate change, for example, wearing a climate change t-shirt and then, driving away from the protest in a diesel van. We've got to walk our talk. So judgment comes from that, and it comes from a great deal of emotional maturity that's able to take a really wide view, which is what Jupiter wants to do. And that comes from a lot of experience. Okay, Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which is where our South Node is right now, which also speaks to where we've been, what we've done, the experience we've gathered along the way, and how that informs the way forward. But yeah, judgment is an important thing, but obviously there's, an arguable number of people that have created their own beliefs and ideologies consciously, and and those people who have just kind of osmotically absorbed the influences of their culture, their upbringing, their education, all these kinds of things, or just their, the people they look up to, the role models in life. And there is a dearth of good role models right now, it seems, unfortunately. So these are themes that are going to play out with this opposition, the conflict of values and approaches to the law and politics, and how we go forward from that point. The other issue here, Jupiter is very generous. Jupiter wants to give. It's very warm, it's very charismatic energy, but it can overgive and it can overdo and it can overeat and it can, especially in a hard aspect to the moon, it can want to overindulge. And over mother and over nurture and these kinds of things. So just watch out if you're the sort of person that overgives. Just watch out for falling into that trap as well, because you're going to need your resources. Okay, you're going to need to keep a little bit back for your resilience this year. A Gemini Mercury ruled year is a year that is busy. There's a lot happening. It's youthful. It's over here 1 minute and then it's over there. So you're going to need to just cool it a bit. And it could be, in fact, that with coming out of this Saturn year, we've kind of atrophied a little bit, if that's the right term. We've got to build ourselves back up to the full-on life out there, slowly and gently, so we don't pull a muscle, metaphorically speaking, or literally, in fact. We've had this year of being held back, being limited, spending more time at home within, and certainly coming out of winter is that as well. And as we go back out there into the world, we must be careful not to kind of overdo it. And this could be one of those days when we're tempted to be honest. So just watch out for that. Mercury this day is exact. So this square to the North Node is exact. So having these two running alongside each other is just going to be one of those where, I don't know, my whole approach to this day is just going to be to just really try and sit back and watch. It's going to be a case of what's occurring right now. There's a fated feel to it. There's a feeling of this is our destiny. We're always creating history, like every day and every moment we're creating our legacy. The impression that our life is going to leave in this lifetime is something that we are forever creating in every moment. But when the nodes are activated like this, there's really this very, very much more powerful, fated feeling to events. So it's really a call to take great care and not get swept up in big feelings and big emotions. Don't let those inform the decisions that you make, because it's almost like we're really strongly communicating with the heavens, with cosmos, with source, whatever you want to call it. Jupiter rules God, essentially. It's almost like we're really powerfully communicating this is what we want the future to look like. So I guess be careful what you wish for. And we're making that wish energetically, vibrationally, in Aquarius and with Uranus in Taurus. It's not about literally sitting there and saying, my intention is. It's literally our vibration, the vibration we're putting out there, the way that we conduct ourselves. That is how we are communicating all the time. So just watch yourselves a little bit. So yeah, unclear, divided, flip-flopping, messy, potentially. So just remember, if you remember nothing else from this astrological forecast, there's no such thing as not making a decision. Okay, even if you're deciding to not do something, you're making a decision. So just put your energy in what you want there to be more of in the world. Mars, North Node, Gemini. Just imagine, think, what do I want more of in the world? And let that be your guide. Because that's essentially what we're creating. We do get a bit of help, though, as we go through into Friday the 26th. Venus, bless her heart, is really going to come good for us. So let's leave Thursday behind. And what's happening is Venus is now going to meet up with the sun, conjunct the sun. So this takes place at 6:57 a.m. on Friday, which is Venus's day. And it takes place at 5 degrees, 5 being a Venus number. So although Venus is in a planet, a sign that she doesn't like to be in, okay, that's weakening her a little bit. And yes, she's moving behind the sun, so that weakens her a little bit. This is a moment. This is a moment where she can really shine through. The exact moment when Venus gets together with the sun like this is a Kazemi. And it's kind of like this little moment in the whole period of her being behind the sun's rays where like this really powerful hit, essentially, literally like a mainline hit of Venus can bind us and really break through. Almost like it's powered up by the sun just for this short period of time. So it's early in the morning, you know, it's 6:57. So I would perhaps, you know, if that's a bit early for you, if you're not an early riser, then go to sleep the night before thinking, you know, I really want Venus to give me some guidance, Venus to have that breakthrough moment for me and establish the way forward and what action I should take. Aries. What do I need to start? What do I need to initiate? This is kind of the Aryan feelings. And if you are up early, anything that you can do to honor Venus on this morning is going to be beautiful. And you know, I've put work out there before in creating a Venus altar, working with her through retrograde, that kind of thing. You can hunt around in my previous videos for those. You know, any way that you can honor Venus, I think, and just facilitate the receptivity, you know, just say, I'm open to receive Venus energy, open your heart to her guidance. And I think that will be wonderful if you can do that. And let me know, let everyone know if you receive this, you know, if you've tried any of the suggestions that I make, because I try and be solution focused. I don't just want to say, here's the astrology, off you pop, you know, work it out. I do try and provide some solutions for people. And if you've tried those out and they've worked, then please do share them with other people. Say what worked for you, or perhaps even if something went wrong, you know, feedback is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And that again would be a wonderful way to capture some of the Mars Mercury energy, giving feedback, but nice feedback. Okay, don't go telling me you hate this. Well, you can if you want, but okay. So Venus conjunct the Sun on that day really is. I'm calling this the divine spark of creativity. Venus is in a Mars sign, but you know, when we bring Venus and Mars energy together, it's fertile. It's the divine feminine and masculine coming together. So that really is this spark. And from that point, Venus is then separating away from the sun. So she's starting very, very slowly to move into this phase of her being the evening star that we will welcome back into our skies as of May. And that's Taurus season, so it's beautiful. So as we go into Saturday then, Saturday the 27th, the moon is going to be in Mercury-ruled Virgo and is going to oppose its ruler, Mercury, in Pisces. So again, I mean, you can just see how much of a mercurial week this is, this changeable, divided, do I go this way or do I go that way kind of feel. This is going to be another peak moment in that kind of feeling of being split down the middle, essentially. It's exacerbated. What we've essentially got is a grand mutable square, which I thought I had enough square aspects, but I don't. I need to sort that out, so I shall. Let's just imagine that there is another one there. Let's use Mercury and Pisces to imagine that I was properly prepared for this forecast. Yeah, so we've got a grand mutable square. So all of the mutable signs will be activated. Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, all right, in this big square aspect. So we've got the nodes opposing each other. We've got Mercury and the moon opposing each other, and everything else is just getting, you know, really tense and gotta do something. The other thing about this energy is the moon is getting really, really big now. Very, very big. She's just the sign before where she will go full. She's going to be full the Sunday in Libra. So she's getting big. So again, that bit more intensity, that bit more influence of our emotions. Thankfully, it's in Virgo. So I think either side of this aspect, that Mercury influence from Virgo on the moon may just help to assist us here and there with pulling together the threads that we want. But I think this particular opposition will probably dominate the journey of the moon through Virgo. So do be careful. It's going to be a provocative time where we're going to literally feel like we're pulled in all four directions, essentially, like northeast, south, and west. It's like, oh my goodness, you know, what on earth am I going to do? Just be cool and calm, because I think as we move into the full moon, we're going to have some clarity. But be prepared to use that full moon. So we're coming into a very, very special full moon. But again, it's one that gives us a couple of options. So if you can do nothing else with this provocative, tense energy, even if all you can decide upon is what you don't want, because it's quite kind of like grr energy. So if you're saying, well, I can't think of what it is that I want, or what I want isn't possible, or if you're in a bit of a, you know, a negative space, then channel that negativity into saying, well, okay, well, what don't I want? Okay. You know, just work with it in some way. Just don't ignore it. Don't suppress it, because then it just comes, it's like whack-a-mole, isn't it? It's just going to come up somewhere else and you're going to have to deal with it. So just do something with it if you can. Sunday, wow, Sunday is huge. Sunday, the 28th of March. So let's clear up the board and let's just really go in deep. So overnight, as we come into the very early morning, the early part of the morning, where's my glasses? 6 a.m., the moon will move into Libra. Libra brings balance. Libra brings equality. Libra likes compromise and sharing and harmony and beauty. Now, it's not known to be the most decisive of signs, arguably. If you know anyone with a lot of Libra in their chart, or you do yourself, it can be a little bit frustrating, because the joy of Libra is the ability to look at things from both sides in order to be diplomatic. You know, Librans are incredibly diplomatic people, because and it's genuinely not that they're indecisive. They can just see the benefits. This is Venus. They can see the value and beauty and benefit of both options. So why would they want to limit it to just one, you know? So whilst it is, there can be that tendency towards there being an exacerbation of the increase in this indecisive energy, or this choice point that we find ourselves at least with this energy, we're looking at it from the point of view of bringing something positive. we're wanting to increase Venus's influence here, with Venus being the ruler of the moon in Libra. So it's a case of how can we bring greater Venusian qualities to this, seesaw that we're on. The full moon is always a profound piece of feedback that we get from the universe. It's our, it's really that the moon is capturing the full light of the sun. And so this could really, if we've worked with all of these energies throughout the week, I really feel like, our alignment can mean that Venus, this full moon in Libra on Sunday can, to assist with that balancing and that choice point that we're at, and just say, well, look, here, have this chunk of information, and that's going to highlight perhaps a path forward. So moon enters Libra at 6 a.m. Then Venus gets together with Chiron, okay? Chiron in Aries. So this speaks to, that takes place at, in the afternoon, around about 5:30 in the afternoon. They are getting together at 8 degrees of Aries. 8's a wonderful number, a really lovely number. And so this is saying, it's bringing together the combined efforts of the value that we've got from our healing journey, the blessings that our difficulties and challenges have actually brought to us, because it does. How we can share that with other people is a big, big part of this, the way I'm interpreting it. And around 8 o'clock in the evening, UK time that is, the moon will move into her exact opposition with the sun. So moon will arrive at 8 degrees of Libra. This is at 8 p.m. and will be in opposition to the sun at 8 degrees of Aries, Venus at 8 degrees of Aries, and Chiron all at 8 degrees. So we've got 4 planets there, all at 8 degrees. The number 8 just has such beautiful associations with it, and I won't bore you with it now. Do some numerology Googling and look into that. And also, of course, find where this is taking place in your chart. Lots of people around my age group will have Pluto in Libra. So, this could be pretty powerful and pretty deep experience. The full aspect pattern that is being made is really quite exciting, though, because we don't just have the usual opposition, and it's quite a beautiful stellium there. We have got what is called a kite. Now, hopefully I've got everything I need for this one. So with the kite, we've got a grand trine. This is an air trine, okay, that is working Mars North Node in Gemini. So all the work we've been doing through the week with Mars and the North Node now is in harmonious energy flow to the moon in Libra. And then Saturn, so where we've chosen to look at the long term, be mature, be grounded, bring stability and security and responsibility and personal integrity, all these itties. It's really, really just saying, oh, guys, that energy is bouncing around all of its own accord, doing its thing. So however much you've stimulated that in your chart, this is going to really, really help. We then have a sextile from those points as well to up to our sun. Now, Sunday is the day of the sun. And of course, when we have a full moon, what's happening is the moon is collecting the largest amount of solar light and reflecting it back to us. So there is very much a solar emphasis to this. And this is about Aries. It's about me. It's about what I am going to do, what I'm going to start, what I'm going to be, what's the person that I'm going to be. Now, this is called a kite, this aspect pattern, but I see it more often as a bow and arrow. Okay, if you can see that there with, this is the arrow, the opposition, which is a tense aspect, you know, there's no denying it. And this is the bow. So we've been crafting our bow all week, essentially, with the work that we've been doing. And we've loaded it up now with this full moon, with this arrow, this full moon arrow. And everyone's going to be doing this. And those of you who are watching this and working with the astrology, you get to choose what arrow goes in the bow at this time. The vast majority of people out there, unfortunately, won't. All right. So you're empowered. That's why astrology is empowering. What bow are you going to what arrow are you going to load up into your bow? Essentially, this is the choice. This is the choice we've been trying to make all week. And it may be that at the full moon, this is where we let that arrow fly into the future. Aries, you know, this is how we are going to move forward. So, where will you fire your arrow? With the Venus Sun Chiron conjunction here, there could be two ways that this plays out, which is kind of the theme of the whole week. Will you fire that arrow from pain, Chiron, woundedness, a sense of not being good enough, a failure, a reject, I'm not as good as everyone else, all of that pain informing it? Will it come from pain and egoic desires, Sun, Venus, what I want, what I like, I want to do this, I want to have that, you know, all of this kind of business? That's one arrow that you could fire out there. It could just be like, I've had a really rotten time of things. I'm feeling a bit sorry for myself, and I want, you know, to go on a holiday or to go shopping or to see my friends and go disco dancing, whatever. And that's where I'm determined to make that happen. On the flip side, and the one I'd probably try and encourage more, is a determination to use your power to bring healing and balance and love to the world. That's the arrow that I'm going to try to load up into my bow. You know, the sun. We are the sun. We all have a sun in our chart somewhere. We are the sun in other people's skies. And we can be really, really bright, and we can encourage them to do wonderful, wonderful things. Our energy, you know, is we want to inspire joy. The sun rules Leo, so it's all about inspiring joy, fun, creativity, all of those things. Of course, Venus is love and balance and kindness and harmony and all of those things. And of course, Chiron can be you know, this is a desire to be a force for healing. I want to use my energy, Sun, you know, to be a lasting Saturn power, Mars energy for loving, healing in the world. Yeah, it kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Such a beautiful aspect pattern is the kite. I mean, it's so known as the kite, but I really usually see it in this kind of formation because, you know, an opposition is tension. It's not a desirable aspect, but there's no getting away from it. So we may as well use it to our benefit, and the harmonious aspects that surround it give us that opportunity to do that. So yeah, let's use it for good in this choice that we have. So I'll just say that question again. Where will you fire your arrow, your full moon arrow, from pain and egoic desires, or a determination to use your power to bring healing, love, and balance into the world? And I'm going to leave you, we're going to come full circle with lyrics from Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven again. And if you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last, when all are one and one is all. That's the energy of this week. I promise you, with Mercury and Pisces, we are trying to create a world where all is one and one at all, and everyone kind of understands that, because I think we're only going to progress if we get that fundamental principle. And I hope, I hope this tune does become clear for you throughout the week. Hold space for this feeling of being torn into in yourself and in others. And I hope that all of this provocative energy can result in something absolutely glorious. Hope, as always, this has been useful for you. It's a really, really big week. It's a magic week. And I hope I've done a service to that. If you like my work, as always, I would really appreciate it if you could like, love, share, comment. Make sure you're following me on Facebook, because there's a lot more content there. I'm also on Instagram as well. And as always, have a really beautiful week. Lots of love. Bye for now.